Good evening and welcome to the evening news for today, Saturday, May 20, 2023. I am Jemima Holmes. Thank you for tuning in. Now let's take a look at some of the lead stories tonight. Hunt continues for escaped mass murderer as prison officials under probe. Getaway boat recovered. 10 million reward offered. President Ali leads massive cleanup campaign across country. ExxonMobil commits to resolving issues in U.S. $7.3 billion oil audit. 27-year-old motorcyclist dies after colliding with dog, and Youth Empowerment NGO launched in BERBICE. Now for the news in detail. The hunt continues for high-profile prison escapee Mark Royden Williams, also known as Smalley, a convicted mass murderer and death row inmate who yesterday made a daring dash to freedom in the Mazaruni River amid a rapid exchange of gunfire between prison officials and his accomplices. In our lead story tonight, Lawan McAllister reports that a 10 million reward is being offered for information that may lead to his recapture, even as the getaway boat used in the escape has been recovered, and prison officials are under probe amid suspicion that they helped the convict in his jailbreak.
Home Affairs Minister Robertson Ben, during a press conference on Saturday, revealed that there has been a major breakthrough in the hunt for notorious mass murderer Royden Williams, known as Smalley, as the joint services have located the boat believed to have been used in his daring escape on Friday afternoon. This discovery has led to a series of arrests, including 2 prison officials and the boat captain. A substantial reward of $10 million is now being offered for information leading to Williams's recapture. Following the recovery of the getaway boat, authorities have intensified their efforts, deploying resources both by air, land, and river to locate Williams.
General area is isolated by security personnel that they have been working diligently, assiduously, overnight, and even as they speak, to intercept these persons and to bring the situation in the area back to normal. We can only call again on persons in the area to take every precaution in relation to these persons, to avoid providing any succor or support to them.
It is believed that the fugitive was spotted in the vicinity of the quarry area after the boat's engine experienced a malfunction which slowed down his escape. According to the Home Affairs Minister, Smalley and his accomplices are believed to still be in Guyana, and the joint services are working tirelessly to bring Williams back into custody.
We would recall that Williams was involved in the attack on the Bartica police station. He was also involved in the Lusignan massacre, 2 massacres, Bartica and Lusignan. And it was not only that military personnel or police personnel were killed, but also women and children. So this issue is being taken extremely seriously, and no effort is being spared to bring them to justice.
Ben further said authorities are closely monitoring all possible exit points and border crossings to prevent his escape beyond Guyana's borders. Smalley escaped from the Mazaruni prison during a visitation. He was escorted to the visiting area where he met a Spanish-speaking woman who brought toiletries for him. As Williams was returning to the holding cells, the all-terrain vehicle he was on came under attack. A man armed with a high-powered rifle opened fire on prison officials, causing mayhem to ensue. Despite being shackled, Williams managed to run towards the Mazaruni River and jumped overboard, followed by the alleged gunman. They were picked up by a boat that quickly fled the scene. Meanwhile, persons are being warned that harboring a fugitive is a criminal offense for which jail time of some 3 years can be imposed. Williams has been convicted of murders stemming from the Bartica massacre in 2008, when he, along with other gunmen, ambushed and killed 12 persons, including 3 policemen. Additionally, he had been sentenced to death in September last year over the killing of a GDF corporal. Williams had previously escaped from the Camp Street prison on July 9, 2017, but was recaptured on October 10, 2017. Reporting for the Evening News, Lawanda McAllister.
The National Enhancement Exercise in Georgetown began this morning along the entire stretch of the Kingston Seawall, with President Dr. Irfan Ali leading the charge to clean up the surroundings. Pooja Rambaran reports.
This forms part of the massive cleanup exercise that is seeing the participation of cabinet members, public and private sector officials, and volunteers across the country. It is a continuation of the beautification efforts spearheaded by President Dr. Irfan Ali under the Men on Mission and One Guyana initiative. While President Ali started the seawall exercise at 5 a.m. Saturday morning, similar efforts were made across the country by different officials. Minister within the Public Works Ministry, Deodat Indar, led a team in cleaning the junction of Mandela Avenue and Houston Access Road. Alongside Guyana Defense Force members, Minister within the Office of the Prime Minister with the responsibility for public affairs, Kwame McCoy, conducted the exercise in Savage Street. Meanwhile, in Port Kaituma Region 1, Housing and Water Minister Colin Crowell guided the cleanup efforts. Residents and volunteers across different regions are also doing the same. Pooja Rambaran for the Evening News.
Vanu Manichan joins us now to report that ExxonMobil Guyana has submitted responses to the findings of the U.S. $7.3 billion audit on its operations here from 2017 to 2020. The company has said that while there are some disagreements, it is committed to working with government and other stakeholders during this process. Here is more.
British firm IHS Markit has conducted an audit of ExxonMobil Guyana's cost oil expenses and has flagged claims to the tune of some US $214.4 million. On Thursday, Vice President Dr. Bar Jagdeo said the United States oil major will have to explain these cost overruns.
They're in the process of securing response. This is for the new audit from Exxon. So first of all, the audit is submitted, then they write Exxon. You have to give them, I think it's 60 days by the PSA to respond. Once they respond, they have to now explain the cost overruns.
The U.S. oil giant submitted their response on Wednesday. At a media briefing on Friday, ExxonMobil Guyana's Vice President, Philip Reitema, explained that they are currently in that 60-day period during which there will be back and forth between the company and the government on the findings in the draft audit report.
We've provided comments back this week to the government, and they'll be reviewing those, and then there'll be subsequent back and forth as we move towards a finalization.
The Exxon official further noted that while there are differing opinions on some of these expenses, the company is nevertheless committed to an outcome where everything is reviewed and agreed upon by both sides.
I think the process has gone quite well. There's been really good collaboration between our company, the auditors, the government. A lot of transparency. We pride ourselves on this. As I said, we're audited frequently by a number of different organizations, and so this is a typical natural process. And there's always going to be little differences of opinion. And some of those we agree with. We are talking, as you noted, about $7 billion US. So there's an expectation that through the audit process, there will be some areas where maybe they weren't solely for Stabroek operations. They belonged in one of our other blocks, and so we discussed that and aligned. So I think this one will continue to progress over the coming months, and I expect we'll get to alignment with the government at that time.
Last month, Vice President Jagdeo had indicated that if these expenses cannot be justified, then they will not be approved by the Guyana government. Reporting for the Evening News, Vanu Manikchand.
The Minister for Trade and Industry of Republic of Ghana is leading a government-private sector delegation to further explore possibilities for trade and investment between Ghana and Guyana. The visit commenced on May 19 and will conclude on May 24. Other government ministers on the delegation are the Minister of Food and Agriculture and the Minister of Education. The delegation also includes the Deputy Ministers of Trade and Industry and of Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration, and a number of private sector representatives. Meanwhile, during the visit, a Ghana Chamber of Commerce will be launched on Monday, May 22. The delegation will also meet with ministers of the government of Guyana and members of the private sector over the period May 22 and 23 at the Arthur Chung Conference Center. Coming up, 27-year-old motorcyclist dies after colliding with dog, and works on new Parika market moving apace. Do stay with us. More news ahead.
Sally's Boutique is the place to shop when looking for quality high-end men and women footwear, wristwear, wallets, and clothing. Follow us on Instagram, Sally's Boutique GY. We're located at Charlotte Street between Camp and Wellington Streets. Contact us on 231-7519. That's 231-7519. WhatsApp 613-9578. That's 613-9578. Sally's Boutique, the new home of Clark's.
Play and win with Superbet. Visit an agent near you to play all your favorite games. Superbet, your best bet. Must be 18 years and older. Terms and conditions apply. Play responsibly.
Hi, Mr. Smart. Please stop a minute and just clarify this thing for me.
Oh, Sonel, don't tell me it's local government questions again.
Yeah, boss. How come the local government elections different from the general elections?
Okay, the local government election systems allow for half of the members of the council to be elected through the proportional representation system, just like general elections. And the other half will be elected through the first past the post system. This system allows for one candidate to be elected to represent the constituency where he or she lives. For example, if a council got 30 seats, like the Georgetown municipality, 15 will be elected through the proportional representation system, and the other 15 will be elected through the first past the post system, giving a total of 30 councillors.
So that means that every constituency will have one of its citizens who live there having a seat and representing it at council.
Yes, Sonel, that's correct. And if you need to know anything else about the electoral system for local government elections, just call GCOM. Take care, Sunil.
All right.
Monday, June 12, 2023 is Local Government Elections Day. For further information, contact GCOM or visit the GCOM website at www.gcom.org.gr.
Welcome back. You're watching the Evening News. A 27-year-old motorcyclist is now dead after he collided with a dog along the Rupert Craig Highway this morning in the vicinity of the Infectious Diseases Hospital at Lilliandale. Dead is Shamar Frank Wilson of Quamina Street, Georgetown, who was operating motorcycle CM 1892. Police have said that at around 3 hours, the man was proceeding along the southern carriageway of the roadway when a dog suddenly ran across the road and into the path of the motorcycle. The front center portion of the motorcycle collided with the dog, causing the motorcyclist to lose control and fall onto the road surface. He was picked up in an unconscious condition by an ambulance crew and taken to the Georgetown Public Hospital, where he was pronounced dead on arrival. We now tell you that the upgrade of the Parika Market in Region 3 is seeing swift progress, with local government minister Nigel Darmalal anticipating its full completion next month. More in the Stasia Dickinson report.
Point of completion, which would serve very well to alleviate all of the problems that we have, or the challenges we have in terms of traffic, in terms of the business of our vendors within this area. This area is slated for greater development, so all of the stalls on the roads and the encumbrances, all of those will be removed so that they are placed within this market.
That was Local Government and Regional Development Minister Nigel Darmlal during a visit to the Parika market site on Thursday. The minister emphasized the importance of security as he highlighted that it will be a core service that the market will have.
In addition to it being directly opposite the police station, we are going to have mobile security here. We're going to have static security, and as well as electronic surveillance. So, as I said, the market is going to have the top-of-the-line services provided to our vendors as well as to our clients. We'll also have security for parking as well. So, by the end of this month, going into next month, you're going to see massive transformation here in Parika.
The two-story market, when completed, will feature a food court, adequate parking for 50 vehicles, improved sanitation, and more. On February 10th, the previous market complex was destroyed by a fire affecting the livelihood of many vendors who used to ply their trade in that area. A preliminary investigation from the Guyana Fire Service revealed that construction workers who were in the process of rebuilding the market were welding when sparks came into contact with nearby combustible materials. This resulted in a large fire within the span of minutes, forcing vendors out of the marketing center. As a result, little was salvaged from the blaze. Tassia Dickinson, The Evening News. Notwithstanding its many shortcomings, Guyana is a very blessed and unique country with the most progressive parliamentary and constitutional reforms in the region, says Governance and Parliamentary Affairs Minister Gail Teixeira. Here are the details.
Governance and Parliamentary Affairs Minister Gail Teixeira was at the time delivering remarks at a reception Thursday at public buildings to commemorate Guyana's 70th anniversary as an elected assembly.
But the 18th of May 1953 was very significant. It was the first time after an election based on universal adult suffrage. We were one of the first countries in this hemisphere to have universal adult suffrage in the first place, which we as Guyanese people fought for from 1947-48 right up to the elections that were held in April 1953. This meant that Guyanese could vote whether they could read and write or whether they owned property. Before that, they were not allowed to vote. Despite all those things, if we put aside all those things, we are indeed a blessed and unique country. Unique, Valda spoke about our committee system and our parliamentary reform that we did after constitutional reform. Despite all our issues, our parliamentary reform is still the most progressive in this region. Still. The constitutional reform we went through is still the most progressive in this region.
According to Teixeira, the aim is to work towards returning to the days when parliamentarians could reach consensus on national issues.
And don't take on the fights between the politicians all the time. Because Val and I will go in a corner and talk about our own little women's story or whatever, but on the floor we'll blast each other. And we want to get back to the days of this parliament when in fact, and those days have been long missing, that as parliamentarians we could reach consensus on national issues. That is what we have to work towards now, I believe, as we leave the 70 years and look back at the history of this country and look back at the leaders that we have come from and the leaders whose shoulders we stand on now.
General elections were held in British Guyana on April 27, 1953, and they were the first held under universal suffrage and resulted in a victory for the People's Progressive Party, PPP, which won 18 of the 24 seats in the new House of Assembly, which held its first sitting on May 18, 1953. The party's leader, Chedi Jagan, became Prime Minister.
A new non-governmental organization which will focus on youth empowerment was recently launched in BERBICE. Our BERBICE correspondent Andrew Carmichael has this story.
Guyana Center for Civic Engagement, GYCCE, is the first local NGO which will serve as a hub to host youth-led civic engagement programs in areas of advocacy, voting education, volunteering, and activism. The organization's president, Pandit Deodat Prasad, said this will be done by empowering youths in Guyana with leadership skills needed for individual and community growth under the broad thematic areas of transparency and accountability and conflict resolution. He said GYCC is committed to preparing high school students to be civically conscious of their role in society. GYCC said will fill many gaps that currently exist by providing training needed to ensure youths populate public offices and be given equal access to opportunities with the view to better themselves and confidently raise voices to create a better society.
The next generation of leaders must embrace openness, honesty, transparency, and accountability as sacrosanct values. This is the goal of GYCCE. It seeks to serve as an educational platform to prepare and populate public offices with ethical leaders by training high school students in areas of ethical leadership, voting education, advocacy, and activism. As a non-governmental, not-for-profit, non-political organization, as members, we ourselves commit ourselves to holding ourselves to a high standard of integrity and impartiality. We will never advocate for partisan objective. Instead, we will focus on the process.
Speaking at the launch of the NGO, Region 6 Chairman David Armagon underscored the need for civic responsibility to be propagated in the school system.
In this country, and in many other countries for that matter, our education system is geared towards the academics and skills training. And civic responsibility and civic ideas are not being propagated in the school system. And therefore many students leave the school system with 15 subjects, university degrees and diplomas, and they have no idea of what their civic duties are. And so the establishment of this center here today is intended precisely to fill that gap that the school system is not addressing.
The NGO hopes to foster inclusion and help participants to practice integrity. It will also feature youth exchange programs, mock youth elections, and a regional mock parliament. Andrew Carmichael, The Evening News.
And now for a look at the bridge reports.
The Demerara Harbour Bridge is scheduled to be closed on Sunday, May 21st at 5 hours for a period of 1.5 hours. Meanwhile, the Berbice River Bridge is scheduled to be closed on Sunday, May 21st at 5 hours for a period of 1.5 hours.
South American U20 gold, bronze for Guyana on opening day, and Independence 3-stage cycling, Crawford wins first stage. Details of these stories in the Sportcast, sponsored by MacCorp, coming up on the other side of the break.
Looking to bring your dream home to reality? Or simply taking on a home improvement project? Then National Hardware Limited is where you should start. Let us put that touch to your home. Choose from over 1,000 Berger Paint original hues for any surface. We are known for our trusted brands such as Westinghouse, Philips, Sadco, Rubbermaid, Pyrex, Gibson Home, and so much more. National Hardware Limited, your do-it-best store. Located in downtown Georgetown and industrial site Rhymeville.